Hey guys, into the end here, I'm going to do something a little bit different today. Patch 1.26 just got released and there are a bunch of really cool new changes. I'm going to spend this video talking about some of the critical changes that I think are most relevant and important. I've not done one of these videos before, so this is a bit of a trial run. Leave a comment below and let me know if this is the kind of content that you are interested in seeing from me in the future. If you find it entertaining or educational, whatever it is, leave a comment, let me know. If there's enough interest, I will do this for future patches as well. So there's a bunch of changes. There's a bunch of changes in the new patch, but I think only 3 of them are things that I care about, and I'm only going to spend time talking about those 3. And those 3 are the expanded match history, the reward updates, and the matchmaking updates. Particularly with the reward updates, that has sparked quite a lot of discussion and debate, some frustration, some outrage on forums like Reddit and in game, and there's a lot of people talking about this, so I want to chime in there as well. So we'll start with the expanded match history, which is this tier, right? You go to profile, you come to match history, and here you get to see a record of basically all the games you have played. I'm not sure how far back this goes, but to me it seems like it's gone back at least to the beginning of yesterday. And I don't know going forward if it just keeps track of your matches indefinitely. I don't remember if the patch note even says anything about it. Let's take a look. Let's take a quick look here. History. Nope, it doesn't give you a limit, so presumably it just goes back forever. But we'll see about that. So what I love about this match history is you can actually go to a particular game and you can click on this to expand your draft deck. And what it shows you is your opening hand, whether or not you have redrawn, and then it shows you the cards that you've drawn in the game, plus all of the remaining cards in your deck for the remainder of the game that you didn't play. And I think this is incredibly useful because now we have an actual way to grab empirical data on whether or not you got power screwed. That's one of my biggest pet peeves, and I know that a lot of people suffer from recency bias, and also you'll be biased, and people tend to remember games where they got screwed and don't remember games where they didn't get power screwed. And a lot of people go by gut feeling. So and that's most of that is anecdotal. And so what I think is great about this is a very easy way for you to go back any number of games and just look at your deck and count and really track how many games you in fact got power screwed or power flooded. The way Eternal works is that the deck that you play, once it's randomized at the beginning of the game, it never gets reshuffled no matter what you do. So the remaining cards you see in your deck is the way you're going to draw those cards throughout the game had you played the rest of the game. So here you can easily see that, I have a hand with 3 units and 4 power, and I drew another power, and then I drew a unit, and then I drew another power. So that's pretty heavy. That's 4, 5, 6 power and only 4 cards in the first 3 turns. That is a little bit of a power flood in the first few turns. But as you can see, it eventually averages back out as you start to draw other cards. You can still see here that I still drew a banner here. I would have drawn another banner in a row. So I would have drawn quite a few power sources this game. I'm sure once this data is made available, it's not long before someone writes a program that can automatically extract this information and put it into a database or a spreadsheet where you can very easily conduct statistical analysis on these things. And I think that is super, super useful and something I'm very interested in doing. Another useful thing about this history is you can actually use this to study people's redraw decisions. I think knowing when to redraw a hand is critically important to a player and your success in the competitive scenes. So now people will have a tool that they can use to take screenshots or whatever you want, and post it on forums or make videos, and people can discuss and debate the merits of whether or not you should redraw the hand. So I think this is also very interesting as well. So I love this. But this kind of expanded view on your deck is only available to games that you played, I think, after the patch, because the games that I played before the patch cannot be expanded. So match history, I absolutely love it. The next thing, and well, let's talk about matchmaking updates first, because the reward update is the most meaty and most controversial. So I think the way it works now is with the new, previously there is a hidden system that would keep track of what the system believes your true rank should be. And that is not the same as the rank you show on your character profile. Here, if you are a player that finishes top 50 masters every month, and the month has reset it, and you start at gold 3, I believe, the system still treats you as a master top 50 player, even though your rank shows that you're gold 3. What that really means is that the system has been giving you fewer points when you win against an opponent, and you lose more points when you lose, unless your opponent has a master level hidden ranking. So, and that is really frustrating to a lot of players. You are in gold, you play against a silver level player, or even a master, a diamond level player, and every game you lose more points. Every game you win fewer. That means even if you go 50-50 or slightly above 50-50 win rate, you're constantly losing ranks. So it's made it more difficult for the master level players, especially those who's taken a small break and come back a few months later or play fewer games. It's actually harder for those players to get back into masters. I believe that's what the old system does. And now they have removed that system completely. And so that is no longer the case. You are going to get rewarded a fair amount of points, and not based on what the system thinks you should be at with this hidden ranking system. Now, the second change is that when you're in ranked, and you're looking for a ranked game, the system is now going to try its best to match you to someone who is close to your own rank. And I think that's pretty good. I feel like maybe that's a little bit unfair for like if I was a master level player and the system reset and now I'm down at gold and I'm playing against another gold level player. If that player was actually a gold level player, it's a little unfair for him, because then he's playing against master level players, and he's still winning and losing the same amount of points, because even though I'm actually a master level player, I'm shown as gold at the time. So I think there might be I think the system may penalize some of the lower ranked players, but I think it benefits the higher level ranked players. Is what I suspect. I'm not sure about this, so if you have a different thought or a different opinion, or if you understood the system differently, please leave it in the comment below. I would love to discuss that with you, and maybe if I was wrong, I would love to learn from you what is correct. So that's the matchmaking update, which I also really like because it benefits me greatly. So, and on to the final debate here, and that is the reward updates. So apparently casual rewards have been increased, rank rewards have been increased. However, gauntlet rewards have been reduced. And I think this is what sparked all the outrage. Apparently there is a huge number of players that doesn't really care about playing against other people. They just want to log on, do some mindless gauntlet, grind some gold, so that they can spend the gold on drafts, or they can spend the gold on opening packs, or getting drafts just so they can open packs and finish their collection. There's a lot of players who play this not for the competitive PvP aspect. And I think those people are hurt because the amount of reward they get from grinding gauntlet is reduced, only from 2 to 6 wins though. So if you win all 7 games in gauntlet, your reward remains constant. So to me, that's a pretty small nerf. It only affects you if you fail to defeat the gauntlet boss. And I understand that does happen because the gauntlet boss is unfair, and sometimes you just lose because randomness and variance gets you. So it basically the only times where a player is hurt by this change is if they play a lot of Gauntlet and they frequently don't win all 7 games, then they will be hurt. And I don't know what the exact math is on the expected value gold per hour in terms of grinding it, but a lot of people are very unhappy about this change. And I think yes, absolutely. I think people are feeling frustrated over the changes, and I empathize with their frustration. I think that's all valid. There's always a fear of not being able to get as much as you got out of the game in the past because the rewards are now changed. There's a lot of fear of uncertainty of unknown. Maybe some anger that says, you know, dire Direwolf Digital is now sold out. They just want money, so they're nerfing our rewards that are free. So it encourages people to spend money. There's a lot of these complaints online, and I think it's still a little early to see how truly impactful these changes are. I think on a theoretical level, yes, you may earn a little bit less gold, but I'm not actually convinced that you will earn a lot less gold. So I think it's a little too early to be fearing for the unknown. And I also have a very different, unique perspective because I am a business consultant. So I actually understand businesses very well. So I want to offer maybe a slightly different perspective from a perspective of someone who runs and owns a business. And I'm not saying this because I disagree with people who are frustrated. And I'm not saying that people aren't going to get penalized a little bit on their grinding of gold, but I just want to offer a different perspective, just to so that everybody who's watching can see things from multiple angles and maybe have a better understanding of the situation. First of all, I think businesses in general have to make really difficult decisions in the face of uncertainty. It is very often difficult to collect a lot of information on the market and the customers so that you can make a perfect decision. It's very hard to do that. In fact, I think most of the time, information that you want is not even available to you. And sometimes the information, especially if you're talking about customer feedback, a lot of those are very subjective. And what one person wants is different from what another person wants. So you get contradictory data depending on who you talk to. So I think businesses have to make the best decisions they can based on what little they know at the time. And the hope is that they can make those decisions for now and they can continuously improve upon those decisions later based on user feedback. I think Direwolf Digital has proven to us time and time again that they do listen to the player base. A lot of changes that people recommend on Reddit and feedback forums are well received by the company. So I think the proper response for most people is to just simply go online, provide constructive criticism, positive constructive criticism, and provide useful feedback, and try to avoid flaming or trolling the company or spreading needless negativity, so that everyone else is more unhappy. People say things like, "Oh, I guess it's time to quit." Direwolf Digital has sold us out. They just want money. They're money mongering. They're a bunch of morons. Or set 3 is gonna suck because they can't make any smart choices. I think all of these things are really damaging to the game that we all like to play, and it's also damaging to the community because it demoralizes everyone else who see these things. So, and providing these kind of negativities without the constructive criticism doesn't really help because Direwolf Digital is probably trying to listen to our feedback and make improvements, but those things aren't useful to them, so they wouldn't know what improvements to make. Businesses cannot make all the people happy all the time. I think humans in general have conflicting interests, and people play these games for different aspects: PvE, PvP, collection, master's rank, top 10, bragging rights. No matter what the Direwolf Digital changes, I think someone's going to be unhappy. So I think sometimes we have to expect that and accept that fact. And if they make a change that makes you unhappy, I think once again, be positive, provide them constructive criticism, and hope that they make those changes. I think being negative is not going to help anybody. And finally, I think all businesses exist to make money. So it takes a lot of money and resources to operate a company. They have to pay for a lot of things that a lot of people typically aren't aware of a huge number of different expenditures, and they do need some revenue stream to pay those people. And if they ever want to and make the company bigger and expand and improve in the game, make new sets faster, pay better designers, more experienced designer, better artists, better project managers, some famous names, they do need more money. So I think there's nothing wrong with trying to get some money out of the game. This is already one of the most free-to-play friendly games I've ever seen. It's very generous to new players. So I think it's already pretty good. So I personally don't have any issues spending a little bit of money supporting the game that I spend so much time playing. So I'm not too offended by these changes, and I'm not saying that you don't have to be offended. I think if you're offended or if you're frustrated, that's perfectly valid to feel those things. All I'm saying is that it's still kind of early. I still think that there's opportunities for improvement, continuous improvement. And I think the best way to get what we want is to be positive and be helpful and not be negative about it. And I think that if we can do that, I think in general, we're all going to be happier players for this game. So with all that said, I'm going to end the video, but before I do, I want to show you and brag about this deck that I just recently drafted. I went 7-1, and this is one of the most absurd draft decks I've ever drafted. It's so good. And I just want to show you what another 7x deck looks like. I think I've made 1 or 2 other videos where I showcase what a 7-1 or 7-0 deck look like, and I think this might be useful if you're interested in drafting. This deck has so many absurd interactions and so many bombs. Stand Together is an absolute bomb of a card. This card's very hard to beat. I first picked this card on my second pack, and after I did that, on my third pack, I high picked the Zenin Banners very early, just to make sure that I have the mana base to play this as a splash card. I picked Zenin Banners over some very good green and black cards in my core colors, just because this card is an absolute bomb, and I had to make every effort to splash it. A Champion of Progress is an absolute disgusting bomb. 6 mana 12/12 is nearly impossible for most decks to beat. I got 2 Beast Colors Amulets. Amazing removal spells and execute and extract. I also have a really cool interaction with Hero of the People and a whole bunch of special abilities from the various units that I have. Hero of the People with Piercing Grief on turn 5 is a 4/4 charge, revenge, life-stealing powerhouse. And if you can pack it up next turn with a Stand Together, it's a 6/6 Aegis unit. And then if you give it Endurance and Unblockable, all of a sudden it's an 8/8 unblockable life stealer with Endurance. I actually played against multiple opponents with equally good bombs like Roland's Honor Guard, a 7 power 6/6 flying lifesteal, and General Izalio, which gave my opponent some 7/6, 6/5, a whole bunch of 7/8 power units, and they weren't good enough to race Hero of the People, which is pretty absurd. And I also have, and the 2 Beast Colors Amulet, of course. Very often your opponent won't play around this card, and very often you'll get a turn 3 or turn 4 5/5 Beast, which is pretty crazy. There's also some really, like, Auric Ruhammer is just a bomb. There's some really sweet shenanigans you can do with Horn Grinder and Streetwise Informant. Basically for 5 power a turn, you basically gain 2 life off the armor, but you also grow this guy by +2/+2 every turn, allowing this unit to outgrind pretty much anything your opponent can throw at you, unless they're flying. This deck was sweet. I just have to showcase it a little bit because playing the deck was so much fun. I'll show you from my match history panel here that my 7th game against my opponent, who was also 6x at the time, playing a 7 game, conceded on turn 6. So basically on my turn 3 he conceded the game. It was and my opening hand wasn't even that good. I had a whole bunch of power sources. I had on my turn 3 I attacked him with an Argenport Soldier that has a Jackknife on it, and the Combriny Stranger, which is a 2/2. So this is a 5/4 and a 2/2. My opponent had 2 units. He double blocked my Argentport soldier and then used the burn spell to try and triple card down my Argentport soldier, and then I played stand together. He lost 3 cards, left him with nothing on board, and leaving me with a 3/3 Aegis and a 6/5 Aegis unit on turn 3, and my opponent just promptly conceded. That was an incredible game. But so anyway, yeah, I love this expanded match history because you can actually talk about the games as well because you can see the cards that you've drawn. But anyway, I think that concludes my video. Mostly, I just wanted to talk about the new patch. For those of you who haven't seen it, you can access the patch from Steam community or from your game interface. Yeah, so please let me know in the comments below if you enjoy this kind of content. Because if you do, I will make an effort to make one of these videos with every new patch. Okay, as always, thank you very much for watching. If you like what you see, give me a like, a thumbs up, a subscribe for more content from me, and thanks for watching.